So the reason we created this was to kind of have a game board way of doing stuff by ear so that you'd know what all your possibilities are when you're listening to a song. Like, for example, if I'm in the key of C, I know that the center of my key is C major or A minor. And then I know all the chords that could possibly happen. So if I'm playing with someone or jamming, I know that if they start playing on a C major chord, you know, the chances of them playing, you know, an A minor or an F major, a D minor, G major, all that is really, really high. So I can anticipate what kind of chords are coming. So the next feature I would say is the most important is knowing what the dominant chords are. So this is the chord that kind of aims back to the center. So if we play this dominant chord here, it's going to want to go back to the center of the key. And you can hear that when you play a G7. It really wants to go back. C. G7 to C. And likewise, if I have the dominance of the minor key, so A minor needs someone to point to it. So what I would do is play the dominance of the minor key. So either the E7 or G sharp diminished, and that'll bring it to A minor. So if here I am playing a C major chord, E7, A minor. It directs your ear towards it. So those are the two dominants. That's the most important thing. So the key center and then the two dominants. I would say those are the most prevalent feature. Because ultimately everything wants to come back to the center, whether it's here, 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 and even these chords off in a different key. So for example, I go up to the key of G. Now G is the center. So if I play the dominant chord of G, which is the D7, it will like to go back to G, which G likes to go back to C. Or I could play it to a G7, which wants to go back even more. So I'll give you an example of that. Here we go. So I'm playing a C major chord. There's the D7 and G7. So it's a way of knowing how the chords are going to sound and also kind of where they're directing you. And you can either follow that or upset it. So for example, there's a lot of songs that'll take the D7 chord and rather than going to G, where it's supposed to go, it'll go somewhere like an F. So really nice sound. So you can, you know, upset expectations too. I mean, that's a Beatles thing for sure right there. So yeah, I like this kind of game board way of playing things where I can just experiment and start drawing lines around, see, okay, what happens if I play A minor to B7? Well, that's the dominant chord of E minor. So it really wants to go to E minor. Or I could follow this arrow down and go to E7, which will bring me back to A minor. So A minor, E7, E7, very kind of tango. What else we got here? So all kinds of places we can go. Now, when you're doing stuff by ear, this is where the colors come in. We got chords that sound like rest, which would be the C major or the A minor. So chords 1 and chord 6. Looks like that. Then we got our motion chords. And those are chords like 4 and 2, which would be our F and the D. So those are kind of like what they call subdominants or their movement. Actually, I'm going to play it with the kind of a cool little pad here and see how it sounds. So let's go back to chord 1. And now we can hear that it's kind of happy and it's at rest. Here's chord 6. You can see it's lowercase, so it's sad. Now, if I keep playing these two chords, you're going to get bored real quick. Because you're waiting for something like... And then there's some tension. And back to rest. So we can really hear how those chords have a very specific feeling to them that you can actually predict, well, and hear a song. So when you hear it, you can feel, okay, this is major or minor, or it's rest, motion, tension. So I'll try a couple more here. So here's 1 again. You can hear 4. It's very happy and uplifting. There's 2. Likes to go to 5 or 5/7. Back to 1. So other things that are on this diagram, I know it's kind of complicated, but it kind of takes care of everything. So the other thing is, you know what the scale notes are. So if you wanted to play melody, you'd know that in this key, for example, if I'm in the key of C, I know I'd have a C, a D, E, F, G, A, and a B. Those are all the notes inside the key that I can play on my fretboard that will sound good with those chords. Everything in this key is made up of only those chords, of those notes, sorry. So for example, if we go back here and I play chord 1, you can see that the chord tones are the circles there. So you have a root, you have a third, you have a fifth, or a seventh. So this is really handy when you're starting to play along with songs, like starting to do solos. If chord 1 is happening, I know that 1, 3, 5, maybe 7 are going to sound great with the chord. So it's always skipping by 2. So I know for chord 2, now 2 is the root, and 4 is the third, 6 is the fifth, and 1 is the seventh. How about chord 3? Now it's 3, 5, 7. Chord 4, 4, 6, 1, etc. So you can see what notes are the hot ones to hit when that chord is happening. And we'll get more into that later when we look at the fretboard. So if we take some song examples, for instance, if we take anything, you can see how this will predict the songs. Is it you? There we go. So if I want to predict what's going to happen in a song or learn it by ear, just take, let's say, Perfect by Ed Sheeran here. You can see that if I choose the right key of G, I should see all the chords that are in that song perfectly. So I got my G. Oh, sure enough, there's the E minor. Next chord is the C. And there's the D. D over F sharp, same chord, back to G. Pretty easy. So once you get to know your keys like this and you can visualize that, you'll really get a sense for you'll do stuff by ear so fast. Let's try another one. How about Hotel California? Actually, this is kind of a tricky one. So let's check it out. Now we're in the key of B minor, which is the same thing as being in the key of D. I'll show you what I mean. Because remember, that key center could be a major key or a minor key. So if I'm in the key of D major, I'm also in the key of B minor. Same thing. So let's see if Hotel California obeys the rules. Start with a B minor. Right there. B minor. Oh, there is the dominant of B minor, the F sharp. Okay, I'm expecting now to go back to B minor because that's what it wants to do. Here we break the expectation, and this is a really weird one. Go to A. It's what makes this song so cool. So there's the A chord. And next is the E major chord. If I look around here, I got an E minor. The E major chord is actually kind of same thing as the E7 chord there. It's the dominant of A. So I'm going from my key center to its dominant, then to the key center above, then to its dominant. Now the next one is, now I get my 4 chord, I got my movement chord, the G, and I finally get my happy center on the D. And then I get the E minor, the normal one, and then we end up back on the F sharp, and we finally return back to B minor. So that, you know, but the thing is, I guess the point is that it's all sitting there, and if you can understand how this crazy diagram works and get it in your head, it's pretty easy to start doing stuff by ear because you know what's coming and you know what the sound of each chord is. Like, for example, I play a B minor. I can hear that's the tension chord that wants to go back to B minor, so I know it's my, you know, I know it's the F sharp, and every one of these chords has a really specific flavor that you can get to know. And let's try another one. All right, what we got? Hallelujah. There we go. Key of, what is it? D flat. Okay. Oh, I think it's because it's got a capo on. So it's actually written in the key of C there. So we're going to put the key on. Got our key of C, so we should expect to see C major, A minor, right? Go to the motion chord F, go to G, and go to the E7, which of course will lead us back to the A minor. So let's give that a shot if I want to play it. So here's the C, A minor, C, A minor, F, G, C, G, C major, F, G, A minor, F, G. Here comes the E7, leading your ear to the A. Okay, that works. You see how it's just all sitting there, just waiting for these songs to happen. Let's try another one. Radiohead. All right, we're in the key of G. Boom. So here we go, starting on G. And now a B major, same thing as B7. Okay, start there. Now I'm expecting, my ear is definitely expecting to go back to E. So let's hear how that sounds. G, B7, E. Perfect. But that's not what they do. They do a deceptive resolution down here to the C, which is a really nice sound. Now that last chord, C minor, where is that coming from? That's coming from, if I go down to the key of C, I don't even see that. Down to the key of F, still not there. Down to the key of B flat, and finally I start to see where that C minor is coming in, and it's actually probably best explained. Yeah, I'm pulling it from the key of G minor. This is the parallel minor, so I'm in G major. This is the key of G minor. So this is your 4 minor chords. So for example, if I was playing, there's my 1, right? There's my 3 major. So actually I'll start on 1 again. So 1. Got some tension. Deceptive resolution of 4. Now look how far away that 4 minor is. Way down there. See how sad that gets? Oh, creep. Way back to the center. All right, let's keep going. House of the Rising Sun. Why not? Key of A minor, same thing as key of C. There we go. So we start with our A minor to C, D major, it's the 5 of 5, way up there, 5 of G, and then, oh, the Beatles thing I was talking about, that classic deceptive resolution, that D7 to F, perfect. And then the dominant of A, back to A minor. So here we go, A minor, C, D major, and then F. A minor, E. There we go. So that was a cool one because it used, and I should actually mention that, those are what are called, anything that's not this one, that's the dominant chord. That's the main guy. Any other dominant chord there on the side that is not that one is what you call an applied chord. So it's something that you direct someone's ear somewhere else. So for example, if I wanted to direct your ear to D minor, well, I could play, come on, I could play something like C major, A7, and I would direct your ear to the D minor. So here's C major. A nice way to get there. There's the A7, brings you to the D. C major again. Here's the A7, G7. G7 is going to bring me back to C. All right, so I just did a nice little loop here. So, you know, if I wanted to direct your ear to F, well, I would just, you know, something like this, and that C7 would bring me right into F. And, you know, like Hey Jude. Is it Hey Jude? Anytime. So C, C7, or Georgia is a really nice chord progression. Let's check that one out, actually. So Georgia goes C, E7, and that brings us back to A. And then we use that beautiful chord there, and then into F. Let's give that a shot. E7, A, C7, F. The next chord, we want to get to a G eventually, so we're going to actually go, instead of going to the D7, we're going to use his partner there, the F sharp diminished chord. And that's going to bring us what we think is going to be G. So let's give that a shot. Whole thing. Here we go. C, E7, A minor, D7, bringing us to F, F diminished, which will bring us to G. So these applied chords are so cool, especially when you start using inversions and stuff like that. Like, they're so much fun. So, the other main feature, and it's something that's not used a lot in pop music, but it's worth mentioning, is the augmented six chords. So they're the kind of the same thing as this chord. It's just a halfway in between these two. So for example, like we played before, like that tango sounding song was like A minor to B7. The B7 loves to go to E7 and back to A minor. But I'm going to play a B7 and then kind of, I change one note to bring it one step closer to this key, and it gets super crunchy. And then that will be a nice in between those two chords. So let's check that out. Oh, wow. There we go. So A minor, B7, B7 with a flat 5. So let's try that. Nice way of playing that. It's very classical kind of sounding. You know, it's more like a Spanish guitar kind of thing flamenco guys used it to. So you won't have to use those very much, but you know, they're there. It expands your palette. And yeah, and you can go down to another key and just borrow. So if I wanted to borrow, for example, if I'm in the key of C, I want to go down a floor, start borrowing stuff like a B flat chord. So I'll play the ending of like that Layla song. So from Casino. So all that was C and F, and then it uses a really nice B flat chord. And that B flat will come back to C. So it's really easy chord progression. I'm in the key of C, but I use a borrowed chord there. I use that flat 7. And you'll hear it really stands out. So you can start borrowing chords from different keys, and that unlocks, you know, especially down here now I have the G minor chord. How about some Ordinary World by Duran Duran? So I'm starting here, and then instead of using a G, I'm actually going to borrow it from down here. I'm going to grab a G minor from the key of F. And it's beautiful, a little bit darker than expected. It's B flat, F, C. So it's really similar to the Casino progression actually, because we go down here, but instead of grabbing the B flat, we grab the G minor, and that G minor goes to F, and then back to C. So, I mean, the whole point of this diagram is just to kind of turn chord progressions into a bit of a game board kind of thing to help to visualize it. Because the main problem before I found was whenever we visualize it like this, for example, and write it out linearly, there's a lot of stuff you miss, like the centrality of, you know, chord 1 and 6 and how they're substitutes for each other and how like they function the same. Plus, when you start looking at other, give me a sec. When you start looking at other keys, I think the main problem was there's so many repeated chords. So if I look at, where are you? This one? Yeah. So if I'm looking above in the key of G, look, so let's, for example, there's an A minor chord written out linearly. Okay, we got that. There's the A minor chord. But if I'm in the key of E minor, then I write it out. Oh, I got another A minor chord. If I go down to the key of C, well, I got 2 more A minor chords. If I go down to the key of F, well, I got 2 more or 1 more A minor chord. So what I really wanted was to be able to just have 1 A minor chord and have it overlap in the different keys so you can see what it means to each key. Like, for example, there, it's the middle. But if I went there, you can see the A minor is the lower one. It actually feels like a 4 chord in that key, but there's only 1 A minor, and I really liked having that kind of a game board kind of a feel to it without too much repeated stuff. So anyway, give that diagram a try and just draw lines everywhere and see what kind of chord progressions you can come up with, because there's a lot of stuff there, and it unlocks your creativity and lets you just, you know, improvise chord progressions. It's a lot of fun.